Woo! Another Friday evening, another Fit Food Lover Shape Up Q&A session. Well, you're at home tonight.
I am. What a delight. I've been home since about 6:45.
Have you finished early today?
No. No, I just actually managed to get out on time and the roads were nice to me. So yeah, I
Oh,
made it back at a good time.
yeah. So you're not on your phone tonight.
I'm not. I'm actually on
Oh,
my laptop.
that's
What a
good.
treat. I'm at
And
my
you're going,
desk. I'm at my
you're at your desk,
laptop.
and you're going swimming.
I am. Yeah, I booked on the late night swim session. Get that one boxed off for the week. So yeah, after this, I'll be straight off to the pool.
We'll get cracking then. Let's dive in. Which one have we got? We've got a few questions.
We have. So I'm just going to go through the list.
Yeah,
So one that I've got at the top of mine is weighted hip extensions in
yeah.
one of the programs. Feeling them in the lower back. Should I be, or am I doing something wrong?
So it's a hinge exercise. Well, the short answer is you're probably doing something wrong. And it also depends what you class as lower back. So quite often people, when they say they feel it in the lower back, when I ask them to point to it, it's normally the top of the glutes.
Hmm.
So it's kind of be really specific about where you're feeling it. If it's the top of the glutes, then yeah, you should feel it there.
Yeah,
But if it's not comfortable, then it's probably the lower back. Excuse me. In which case, no, you shouldn't feel it there, and you probably are. And what it's the same as with any sort of hinge exercise. If you start feeling it in your lower back, you're overextending. So it's things like the RDLs where you see people push the hips through and they're arching the back. It's the same sort of thing. So what you're probably doing is arching your back. So my tip for the hip extensions is to round your shoulders. It's one of those weird ones where actually round your shoulders over and concentrate on pushing your hips into the pad and squeeze the glutes at the top. And really, you should imagine like a straight line. So going through your legs, hips, through your back, and then rounding at the top. You're not overarching. You don't have to lift your back up. So it's just bending forward nice and slowly, and then you raise yourself up until you push your hips in, and you don't have to arch your back backwards. So that's the kind of thing with that one is it's just avoiding that lower back arching.
yes,
Yeah,
perfect. So
really
yeah, give it a
simple.
go. See how you get on, and then
Yeah, it's
yeah,
the same. It's the same for all of them. So things like hip thrusts as well, where people try and push their hips right through. No, what you want to try and do is what we call close the rib cage. So round your shoulders so your rib cage is kind of compacted and keep that position, and it stops you from overarching the back. And that's a tip for a lot of them as well. So at the top of your RDLs, you're kind of trying to keep the rib cage neutral and closed, and then just pushing the hips through. Because if you arch your back, you flare your rib cage, it opens, so you know
yeah.
you're doing something wrong there. So try and keep it closed and just push the hips through. It's probably a video I could do for my reels and post up with. So I'll do that at some point. So keep your eyes peeled for that. I'll try and record that tomorrow.
Perfect.
Cool.
Next one is what is considered as a high protein food. So we spoke about it before.
Yeah.
It's the foods like the ratio with the calories and the proteins. What's the ideal one for something to then be considered high protein that would be then a good option?
Um, I mean, it's a different. They call it the CTP, calories to protein. There's a few guys that kind of have a CTP scale. I've used it myself. I tend to think anything that's around about. So if you take the calories and you divide it by the number of grams of protein. So for example, 100 calories divided by 10 grams of protein gives you a score of 10. Yeah. 150 calories divided by 10 will give you a score of 15. So anything that's got a score of between 10 to 15 would be a fairly high protein source. If the score's lower than 10, so something like, say, for a protein shake, you're going to have something that's 90 to 100 calories and then 20 grams of protein-ish. So you're looking at a score of around about 4 to 6. So the lower the score, the higher the protein content. So 10 to 15 is fairly good. And that's kind of what you're aiming for overall as an average. So if you look at a meal and you've got a meal that's, say, 600 calories, then you want somewhere between around about 40 to 60 grams of protein, ideally. I mean, if you've got 30, that's not terrible, but something that's like 40 to 50 grams of protein, which will give you kind of that 10 to 15. So 40 to 60 grams will give you 10 to 15 CTP score. But yeah, the lower the score, the better. So if you're looking at, and this is how you can kind of judge. So, you know, like the protein bars where they go, oh, full of protein. And then you see
Yeah.
that it's got like 200 calories and 8 grams of protein.
Yeah.
That's going to give you a score of 20 odd, which is not a high protein bar. Whereas if you look at bars like the grenade bars or something like that, I use the Amfit ones from Amazon. They're about 190 calories, 19 grams of protein. So that gives you a score of 10. That would be a good protein source or a high protein source. I've got to be careful about using the word good protein because that is all that's entirely kind of subjective. So I wouldn't say necessarily that a protein bar is a good protein source. It's a chocolate bar that's got protein in. So as a snack, it's a better option. But chicken, for example, 100 grams of chicken is around about 110 calories, and you're looking at about 25 grams of protein. So your CTP score is about 4.5, which is good. Yeah. So that kind of gives you the best. I think it's the best kind of guide. So you're aiming for anywhere between sort of 10 to 15 for high, moderate would be 15 to 20, low would be 20 and above. And then very high protein sources have a score lower than 10.
Perfect. Next one is tips to help hunger when tired.
Yeah, if you got any answers to this one, that would be great because I am absolutely shattered this week and I'm
I
starving.
was going to say, have you felt more hungry from it?
Yeah, I've not slept very well because obviously Rosie's been on holiday and I am useless at sleeping in bed on my own, and I've just not slept very well at all. I've struggled to go to sleep, and then when I am asleep, I wake up. And she's back today, so I'm hoping I get a
Amazing.
good night's sleep. But as a result, I am hungry. And that's as a consequence of the way we've said it before. When you're low in sleep, it messes up kind of the hunger hormones. So your ghrelin, which is the one that makes you hungry, is ramped up, and you're less sensitive to leptin. My biggest advice, the way I've kind of dealt with it, is I've not tried to overly restrict.
Yeah.
You know, if I'm hungry, I'm hungry. I'm obviously not sleeping very well. So the thing is, when you don't sleep very well, you're going to burn a few more calories. So eat a little bit more food. I'm not saying eat everything in sight, which is what you want to do, but eat a little bit more food. The other thing is to be aware of cravings. When you're tired, that's when cravings start to slip in. And it's because you're looking for that dopamine hit, and dopamine goes into serotonin, which is there to help regulate sleep. So be aware of cravings. You're probably going to be craving things that are sweet, fatty, salty, all the really tasty stuff that's probably not best if you're trying to restrict your calories. So be aware of those. I'm not saying avoid the stuff completely. We've talked about things like, you know, you've done it before where you have something that you want, like a piece of chocolate with something more filling, like some grapes or fruit.
Yeah, and we've said it before, like something with like yogurt.
Yeah.
You know, like have yogurt and berries, and then like a little bit of chocolate or something. Just something
Yeah.
that will still satisfy that craving, but that's going to fill you up that bit more.
Yeah. So I think that high protein yogurt is a really good. It's one of my favorites. I've done that this week. So I've had Greek yogurt. I've added extra protein powder for the protein boost. I know not everybody likes it, but you can do. Put a load of berries in, 100 grams of berries. Grated a load of. Actually, I melted the chocolate and poured it all over. That was banging. And yeah, and so I've taken that chocolate bar, and instead of eating like a huge amount of chocolate, and I could have quite easily devoured an entire 200-gram bar. I've snapped off 25 grams, which is about 150 calories. I've stuck 100 calories of yogurt and berries with it. So I've got a 250-gram bowl of something that's going to fill me, satisfy the craving, give me some protein, but it's made me avoid eating like 1,000 calories worth of chocolate.
Yeah.
So that's a good tip. But again, it's volume. That's the key thing there. It's so if you are hungry when because you're tired, then look at high volume stuff. So loads of salad, loads of veg, but include some of the stuff that's tasty, that's going to satisfy that dopamine need. And then the other obvious one is get to bed earlier.
Yeah, try and get more sleep.
Yeah, get more sleep. And I know that's not always possible, but rather than just thinking, it's really difficult, because if you've got work, kids, family, other things going on, you're tired, you're going to be tired. But you have to, rather than just saying, oh God, I can't do it because I'm really, really busy. I can't sleep because I'm busy. You have to make the effort. You have to go, right, I know I'm really busy, but that can wait for tomorrow. Therefore, I can, I can go to bed half an hour earlier.
Yeah.
It's something I've had to do myself this week, rather than try and plow through work. I've gone, no, it's not going to be good. Go to bed earlier. I'm going to be more productive. I'm going to be less hungry, and be able to sort of stay on track. So yeah, volume, protein. Don't deny yourself. Don't try and avoid those cravings, but partner them with things. And yeah, try and sleep, and just water. And the other thing as well, it's creatine. Creatine is one of those foods that, one of those supplements that has loads and loads of benefits. And one of the benefits is to help with mental alertness and mental cognitive function when you're tired. And it can help. They don't know what the mechanism is, and it's not something that works with everybody, but because of the cognitive function thing, and because it can help combat some of the effects of tiredness, it can help with the cravings and the hunger. So
Yeah.
that's just something else as well.
Another good reason to take your creatine.
Another good reason to take creatine. Absolutely.
Definitely. Yeah, already good. And like you say, but also just be kind to yourself. And like you say, try and get into that solid, like think about your sleep hygiene and just try and get with that good sleep routine, because ultimately that's what will help.
And these things as well, it people kind of go, oh, zero fat, it's got sweetness. This satisfies that sweet craving.
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
It doesn't help that Rosie's come back from holiday and then bought me an entire thing of chocolate that's sat there. So this satisfies the sweet craving. It's minimal calories. You're talking what, 2 calories for this bottle.
Yeah.
And because it's fizzy and it's liquid, it does actually give you that feeling of fullness temporarily. So it can just kind of help. So yeah, drinking something like a diet soft drink, like a Diet Coke or something that just hits that kind of sweet craving thing, can help.
Perfect. Next one was dealing with a very topical one at the moment, dealing with the summer holidays when you're trying to lose fat.
Yeah, this one is something that I've had so many clients and people who've they're saying they're struggling with the summer holidays. And I think the first thing I will say is, don't be hard on yourself. It's different. You're out of your routine. Remember, we always talk about habits and routine being the key to kind of successful sort of body shape changes, whether it's fat loss, building muscle. It is that habit and routine, because whatever you do to get there, you're going to have to continue doing to most of it to maintain.
Yeah.
So look at the summer holidays as a way of trying to perhaps build a slightly different routine, or take what you're trying to build as a routine. So let's say your routine when you're not in summer holidays, you're going to the gym in the morning first thing, or you're prepping your meals and you're taking your meal prep to work with you. That's your normal routine. When you're in the holidays and you've got time off and the kids are around, it's like, well, I've got the kids, so I can't go to the gym in the morning. I'm not prepping my food because I'm at home, so I can still eat. I can eat at home and make my meals as I go. You might go away and be all inclusive and things like that. There's all of those sorts of things that knock you out of your routine, but the basics still stand. So it might be that you don't go to the gym at 5 o'clock, but you could do a workout when you get up in the morning, and before that, do a home workout. It doesn't have to be perfect. So you could do something at home. It might be that you do, a Zoom workout, one of our Zoom workouts, or a YouTube workout. Or if you've got some dumbbells at home, you might be doing some squats, lunges, presses and things. Just something that's 15, 20 minutes. And if you're doing a full hour 3 times a week, then you might sort of say, well, do you know what? My week's routine while the kids are off, I'm going to get up at 7 o'clock before they do, and I'm going to do 15 minutes Monday to Friday of that routine. So I'm not saying that's what everybody should do. It's whatever fits you. But look at what you can do that kind of is working alongside what you would normally do. If you can't prep your meals, at least plan them so you know what you're eating. Plan your lunches. Plan if you're going to be at home and you think, I'm going to snack, plan those in. Make sure you've got
Yeah.
plenty of fruit and healthy snack options. If you're going away and you're going to an all-inclusive holiday, it's still the same. I know you've got loads of tasty food and you want your full English every morning, but
Try it all, yeah.
yeah, but the thing is, it's the basics are true. So there's always a yogurt and fruit option. And if you might go, right, I need my protein, so I'm going to have yogurt and fruit. If I want eggs, I'll have eggs and a slice of toast, and I might go for a bit of fruit on the side. Or yes, try the things you want, but it's the same basic principles: high protein, moderate carbs, and try and get your fruit and veg in there as well. And if you're drinking, and alcohol's the big one, again, it's moderation. Don't say no, but kind of put some guidelines in around it. So, I know when I used to go on all inclusives, before I lost the weight, I'd be starting drinking at 10 o'clock when the bars opened. I know you pull your face at me.
I actually couldn't think. I think I'm just old before my time. I don't think I've ever done that on holiday. It's just never been me.
But
But people do, and that
yeah,
is
they do.
very like seen as the norm.
The
And like I
norm,
said,
yeah.
you would never sit at home on a Tuesday morning and crack open
Crack
a
open
can at 10 a.m.
And I mean, there's some people do, but that's the thing, that's they think, oh, that's normal. That's the problem, and actually it's kind of, and I'm not kind of trying to be preachy here, but I've said this to clients: there's no need to get a cocktail at 10 o'clock.
No.
Yeah, if you want one with your
Cocktail,
lunch,
fine.
yeah, a mocktail. If you want a beer or something like that with your lunch, fine. Have one with your lunch, then get back on the water and your non-alcoholic drinks through the day, and then in the evening again have a glass of wine or whatever with your meal. Maybe another. I'm not saying don't drink. You're on holiday; it's there to enjoy, but you also have to be sensible and practice moderation, because this whole thing is compromise. And the point is like, I've seen so many people do 12-week boot camps to go away on holiday, and then they just go crazy and undo all their hard work. And that's not a healthy lifestyle. What we want to do is be able to include these things in moderation. And okay, having a glass of wine or a beer at lunch and then your evening meal and a few in the evening, 7 days on the trot, isn't moderation. That is a high alcohol consumption, and most people go, well, that's not actually that much, because I'll be drinking a beer every single hour on holiday. That's excessive.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not trying to preach. I'm not trying to sort of say that they're wrong, but you've got to be realistic. Like you said, you wouldn't do that at home.
At home. Yeah. So
And
it's funny, isn't it? We get in the sun and all of a sudden.
yeah.
Yeah.
And how great. I said this to a client who's just come back from a holiday, and she was better. She said, I was better than I had been, but I did drink more than I normally would. And I said, how do you feel in the mornings in that heat as well? It's been 30 odd degrees over where she went to. She said, I felt lousy. I felt dehydrated. And I went, exactly. So, yes, have your beer with or a cocktail with lunch and whatever, but drink water all the way through for the rest of the day. Because then you can enjoy those drinks and you can have 3-4 drinks in an evening, but drink your water so you feel better. And then it then helps you. And this is the other tip: is be active. If you've got time off, be active. If you can't fit exercise and workouts in, be active with the kids. If you've got kids, go for walks, go for bike rides, play football, play games. Just be active. I'm stupid. I go to trampoline parks and jump on the trampolines with them, or
to Wipeout you did once, didn't you, Will?
yeah, and I'll go and do Ninja Warrior stuff and try.
That was it. Ninja Warrior.
And I do all sorts of stuff, and I do it because it makes me feel good. I have fun with my sons, and yeah, I look an idiot, and that's fine, and they think it's funny. So be active. So yeah, be active. Practice the moderation that you're trying to do. Yes, you could be a bit more relaxed, but practice that moderation. Drink plenty of water. Carry water bottles around with you. Make sure you prioritize your protein. Yeah. Try different things. That's fine. And then as soon as you can get back to your normal routine, get back into
Make
it.
sure you do. Yeah.
Because if you complete, and this is the thing that, excuse me, I got a frog in my throat. This is the thing that bothers me by people, and you get loads of influencers who say, oh, what should I do to stay on track while I'm on holiday? Don't bother. Your holidays are for enjoyment and making memories.
They
Yes,
are. Yeah.
they are.
But
But to tell somebody, yeah, don't bother with all, just enjoy yourself. That's like, you're letting a kid free in a sweet shop. They're not going to practice moderation.
yeah.
It's like saying to a kid, right, I'm going to take you to the toy shop, Hamleys, and you can choose whatever you want. I'd be bankrupt, right? And it's the same thing. It's like, right, I'm going
Yeah.
on a holiday. I'm going to enjoy everything that I really, really want. You're going to come back feeling bloated, feeling lousy, feeling hungover. And then you're going, oh, I'll get back into my routine and I'm going to be on my, my healthy meals going to, it's just not going to work. So
Yeah.
try and stay active. Maybe if you've got a gym in your hotel, go to the gym, but go for walks, get in the pool, swim, play. Um, Try and practice some moderation. Keep some of those basics like prioritize your protein, get your veggies in. With your drink, moderation again, yeah, but do allow yourself some freedom. Don't say no to things, just don't say yes to everything.
Yeah.
I think
And
that's the key thing.
that's the thing, isn't it? Enjoy
Yeah,
yourself, but yeah, if you've got to, and again, it's thinking about those priorities, isn't it? You can still enjoy yourself, and there will be periods where you've got social plans like one thing after the other and it feels like it's constant,
yeah,
and actually you can pick and choose your battles. Some things you can't miss, other things you could like rearrange maybe for a time where you're not as busy, and then your mindset can be a bit like it can change.
yeah,
But yeah, like you say, don't say no, don't miss out on those occasions, but just think about what you're doing around them. Like we've said before, if you know you're going out for a dinner, maybe have a lighter breakfast or a lighter lunch to allow for that. Think about it and plan your day around it.
yeah,
Sometimes things will come up last minute and you might be invited out for coffee and cake. I'm not saying say no to that, but you can account for it.
yeah,
And the other thing is the summer holidays are, while you're thinking about all this stress, also think about this is your time with your children as well. And what example are you setting to them? What kind of people do you want them to grow up to be? And if you're, there with them, I'm not here to tell anyone how to parent, but if you're there, like playing with them, like you say, taking them to the park, playing football, going to the swimming pool, they'll
yeah,
remember all those memories as well. So
yeah.
you're making memories and showing them how to stay active.
And
And
also,
they are better with routine as well. If things will be easier all round if everyone's still in a good routine, even though it's the summer
I
holidays.
can tell you that as a dad, absolutely. If you don't have the routine with them, they're just terrible. And I think the other thing you've hit those memories. It's setting, like you say, setting the example.
Yeah,
You want to set them a good example around relationships with food.
yeah,
You don't want them to see you going on holiday, massively overindulging, and then feeling guilty when you come back, because that is showing them that that's, oh yeah, that's bad. So we
yeah,
shouldn't be doing that. So that we only do that maybe once or twice a year. And this is what you want, is them to go, they want to see you being able to practice moderation, still enjoy yourself sensibly within reason, and not feel guilty when you come back. And they just want to see it, that that's a normal kind of part of life.
yeah,
So it is, I do think you're right there. I think about what example you would like to set to your children. What would you like them to say? Would you like them to be, yeah, mum and dad, when they go on holiday, they just go crazy and eat everything in sight.
and
And I
drink
used to do,
everything, and
yeah,
yeah,
I used to do that. I was terrible on the all inclusives. I'd go to the all you eat buffets. I'd have four or five plates in the main course, and then I'd have three or four desserts, which is why I was 21 stone. But and that's what I do. And now, if we go away, I prioritize the protein. I do make sure I get plenty of fruit and veg in. I drink plenty of water or soft drinks, but I'll have a beer at lunch.
yeah,
Yeah. And then I'll have a glass of wine with the evening meal and maybe a couple of cocktails afterwards. And that is, I feel drunk. I don't drink a lot now, so it doesn't take a lot to get me drunk, but I don't feel lousy in the morning as well.
yeah. Yeah. And the other thing, one last one,
Yeah.
is saying about the routine. My routine has been a little bit up in the air lately, where I've been staying away from home a lot. And this week I forgot to take, I had a bit of a bad week. My brain hasn't been functioning, but I forgot my gym bag, which has my gym fob. Um, so I couldn't go and train. But then rather than do nothing, I went on YouTube. Obviously, I didn't have anything like equipment with me, and just did a hotel room. So it's a low impact HIIT workout, which was just 20 minutes.
Yeah.
The DOMs after that were possibly the worst I felt in a very long time. So they will still work the body. Like, you don't necessarily need the gym, but, and it's like you say, find ways that you can work around. If you can't go to the gym because the children are at home, do something at home. You know, like say in the morning before they're up. There's so many online. Like you say, there's loads on the channel. There's so many videos to look through. Or yeah, if you know you need something lower impact, if you don't have weights at home, there's always alternatives as well. So yeah, just make it work for you, but try and stick to that routine, like you say, as much as possible.
Absolutely.
Next one is seeing lots of things online about the amounts of protein, carbs, and fats we should be consuming, but what does this look like visually? So needing a visual to understand how that all comes together in a meal, essentially.
And it's this is a really good one, because you get all this stuff where you get loads of information about, calorie calculator, work out your calories, subtract 500 calories to get your deficit or whatever, and then you take your weight and you multiply it by however many grams per kilo that 1.5 grams per kilogram of lean body weight, or your goal weight, and then all of this stuff. Quite a lot of coaches will say calories and protein, and then don't worry about carbs and fats too much. And we say the same thing. And really, this was something that was asked in person. It's like, what does that look like in a plate? I don't, I'm trying to track my food and my protein's way up there. And then I feel like I've got no energy. And I looked at them, and the carbs were like 50, 60 grams of carbs a day. And all sorts of things. So this person just went, what does that look like on a plate?
Yeah.
And I said, right, there's two really, really simple ways. The first one, nice and easy, get a plate and imagine cutting it in half and then in quarters. Fill half the plate with veg, fill a quarter of the plate with your protein, and then a quarter of a plate with your starchy carbs. And then you could add a couple of tablespoons of a fat or a sauce or an oil or something like that if you wanted to, depending on what your cut of meat was. I said, if you're having something like salmon or red meat or chicken thighs, then you've probably got enough fats in there, so you wouldn't necessarily need a sauce. Or if you've got your protein has a sauce on it, then you don't need your fats on there. So, but if there's no fats, no obvious fats, then maybe a sprinkle of crushed nuts or olive oil or whatever, butter on your veg. I said, but if you have a typical dinner plate that's maybe 10, 12 inches across, lots of veg, half the plate of veg, quarter is your carbs, and a quarter is your protein. And you have two meals like that, and then your breakfast might be a similar thing but with fruit and yogurt, and I don't know, your fruit would be your carbs and your veg together. So this is why we say have a good portion, 2 handfuls of fruit, and loads of protein for your breakfast. If you eat 3 meals like that, so your breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then you could have a couple of small snacks in between, you're probably not far wrong. Track it like that and see how it goes. And what I said to them is, make your meals like that, track them all, weigh them as you were doing, and you MyFitnessPal or NutriCheck or whatever you're using, and see how that works out. And you're probably not going to be far off with everything. The other one is the hand guide, which you know as well. So palm for protein, so size, thickness of your palm for things like red meats and oily fish. If it's chicken, low-fat meats, then it's the size of your fingers as well. So a hand like that, that would be chicken breast size. So it's a whole chicken breast. Your veg, 2 big handfuls on the plate, which would equate to half the plate. And then your carbs, if it's potatoes, it's a fist-sized potato. If it's things like pasta or rice, it's a cupped handful of your pasta and rice. And the beauty of the hand thing is that it's personal to you, because if you're bigger, you got bigger hands. If you're smaller, you got smaller hands. But that's probably the easiest way of doing it. And then do that for a week. see how you feel, like food wise, hunger wise, see how it pans out with your tracking, and then you can tweak from there. You know, if it's like, actually I'm a little bit high on calories, then you might be saying, well, we can reduce the carb portion a little, or slightly less protein. Or if they're saying, oh, I've got I'm not getting enough fiber, bit more veg.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, that sort of thing. See how that goes. That's the easiest way of doing it. I'd use the hand portion guide. So it's palm for protein, fist or a cupped handful for your carbs, cup of carbs, and then 2 handfuls for your veg.
And then thumb. That's
fats. Yeah, thumbs for fats. So 1 to 2 thumbs for your fats.
Yeah. There you go. That leads us nicely into the last question, which is, I'm tracking food at around, so consuming around 1,400 calories is what they're tracking. Consuming 120 grams of protein, but not losing weight or body fat. Should I be cutting my calories down further?
Well, you when we were talking about this, your first question was,
we need a bit more information, because someone who's tiny, that could be loads of food. To someone who's your size, Will, that would be like nothing. You'd be starving.
I would starve.
It's very much dependent on the person, and how much, you know, where they're weighing currently, height and weight. You need more of a background to be able to answer the question, which I think you have, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, I do. I know who asked me this, so I do know. But I mean, I would say based on the protein alone, I would say, you know, you're looking at, depending on. So obviously you get some coaches who'll say you need 2 grams of protein per kilo of body weight. So that would suggest that if it's 120 grams, it would suggest that this person's 60 kilos. So if we worked on 60 kilos, that would mean their maintenance calories, depending on how active they were, would be about 1,800. That's be their maintenance calories. So at 1,400 calories, that's a reasonable deficit.
Yeah.
It's perfectly adequate deficit. And if they were hitting that, then they would be losing weight. If it's, I know who this person is, and I estimate, I don't know the weight, but I estimate it's around about 75, 80 kilos, in which case their maintenance calories are kind of 2,200 to 2,400 based on what I know about them. So that's 1,000 calorie deficit. So the first thing I would say is they're not eating 1,400 calories.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line.
Are we tracking absolutely everything?
Yeah. So they're not eating 1,400 calories. And even if they were 60 kilos and trying to eat 1,400, the chances are they're not eating 1,400 calories, right? So the first thing is track. And track everything, weigh your food, and be honest with yourself. Because if you are hitting that, if you think you're hitting those calories and those proteins, and you're not, you know, if you're tracking it as that and not losing weight, you're not tracking it accurately.
Yeah, something's missing.
Something is missing, and it could be that you're missing out drinks. It could be that, you know, you're subconsciously snacking on stuff. And again, we're going back, it's summertime. You know, if you're making a meal for the kids and you're, let's say you've cut the crusts off the sandwiches, for example, and you nibble on those, there's going to be 100 calories in those crusts. Let's say you know, they've not finished the fish fingers off the plate for the tea. You have one of those, there's going to be 80 calories in that. And these things add up. And if you go out somewhere and you go and have your caramel latte for 250 calories or whatever, these things add up. So it's dead easy to overconsume. And they've done studies on this where they put people in a controlled environment, and they basically said, right, we want you to eat whatever you want, track the calories, and you know, tell us what you've eaten. And they were measuring what they were eating at the same time. So they were recording separately, the researchers were, at the same time. And then they were also saying, I want you to estimate your activity. So what these people were doing, they were under reporting calories by up to 50%. So the average, I think they were average recorded calories were 1,600. And the average consumed was about 2,400. That's a 50% increase. That's massive. Yeah. And then they were underreporting their activity by close to 50% as well.
Yeah.
And we do it. And I'm not saying that people are doing it intentionally.
No, there's things that
Even,
just get missed, like say you
yeah,
forget.
even us, and we're kind of we're experienced and experts in this, and I know that I will miss things and I will underreport calories probably, and they've done this as well with kind of dietitians and nutritionists. Even the best ones, on average, are underreporting by 150 to 200 calories, which is a big chunk, and this is why we need to be really honest with ourselves, and rather than thinking I must be broken, then you need to kind of look at what you're eating and thinking, right,
Yeah,
am I being 100% honest? And look at what you're eating, because the chances are, yeah, you might be hitting your protein, but how much veg you're eating? And this is something that I've said to some people where they're going, you look at their plate. I get clients to take a photo of what they're eating, and they'll show me a really nice, juicy kind of chicken breast, or a bit of salmon or something nice, bolognese, a big chunk of bolognese that they've made at home. And then they've got like this carb portion that might take up a third of the plate or even a half of the plate. And then they've got a spoon of peas.
yeah.
There's veg on there. That's a
Veg
genuine
in the sauce as
response.
well, Will. I don't know what.
There's a genuine response from a client was, I've got peas on there. There's veg on there. And I'm like, but you've got 2 tablespoons.
Yeah,
You need more. Yeah. So
yeah,
look at what you're eating. And if if it's a hunger thing, yes, you might be consuming protein, but you might not consume enough veg and starchy carbs, in which case you're going to feel hungry. So bulk that out, get your high volume, low calorie density foods in, and yeah, just bulk the foods out, and really be honest. Your best friend in the kitchen is a set of kitchen scales,
yeah,
right?
100%.
And we've said this before. Um, you can use the hand portion guide, that's great as well, but a set of kitchen scales, and I'm not saying that you need to do it all the time for every single meal for weeks on end, but do it for a few days. Weigh, if you're having breakfast cereal, weigh it out. If you're making a salad, weigh it out. If you're putting sauces on the salad, put the
Yeah,
sauce bottle on the scales, press 0, measure out, put on what you're doing, put it back on the scales, and that will tell you, if it goes into negative numbers, how much sauce you're having.
yeah,
Because we try and, like, sauces or peanut butter, we'll try and get like, oh, I've got a tablespoon, and it's like this massive pile on top of the table.
yeah.
I do it myself, right? So I do weigh like the things. I'll put the peanut
Mm,
butter on the scales. I'll take the spoon out, and I'll measure the difference,
yeah,
and use, rather than the tablespoon, I'll measure it in grams. It's amazing how things like sauces, like peanut butter, like
yeah,
drinks, especially if and alcohol, that's the other one.
massive. Yeah,
Yeah, how much they add up. So what I would say is, no, you don't need to cut them.
no,
If you think you're hitting
yeah,
1,400 calories, you should be losing weight. You should be losing fat, unless there is kind of an underlying condition. So there are a few conditions, things like PCOS, things like underactive thyroids, that can lower your metabolic rate quite considerably sometimes. But the chances are you haven't got that. Yeah. And if you do, then yes, you might need to kind of take that into account when you're setting your calorie target.
yeah,
But knowing this person, they're looking at an 800 to 1,000 calorie deficit. Um, you're just not eating at that level, and you've got to be honest with yourself.
yeah. And like you said, it's if fat loss is what you're looking at, don't, I think, like you say, sometimes people are very quick to just want to keep cutting the calories because they want those really quick results. But
Yeah,
actually, really, like you say, the first thing is to be really honest with yourself and look at what you're actually tracking, look at where you're actually consuming, stick at that for a few weeks, and be as accurate as possible. It might seem really like anal for a little bit, like when you're being that strict with it,
yeah.
but as soon as you realize that actually you are over consuming, you can then tighten it up a little bit, and you should then see the results follow.
And it's not a judgment, if you
No,
if you're aiming for 1,400 calories and you're not hitting them, it's not a judgment there. We're not saying that you're failing. What we need to say is that you've got to understand that
yeah,
something's going wrong. And as soon as you accept that there's something wrong somewhere, then you've got to try and figure out what it is.
mm,
Because, until you do, you're never going to fix it. But once you figure out what it is, And it could be that you snack in the evenings because you're bored and you just forget
Yeah.
about it. It could be that you are picking stuff off the kids' plates, or you're having that mid-afternoon snack when you're making the kids a snack and not tracking it. It could be the drinks. It could be, you know, your coffees or your glass of wine in the evening. Or it could be that, you know, you're having butter on toast in the morning and then not actually measuring it. You're just going, yeah, it's roughly a teaspoon, and you're putting a tablespoon on. So identify what the problem is, and then you can do something about it. But
Yeah.
just kind of going, I'm doing everything right, and I need to reduce my calories. It's just a downward spiral,
Yeah.
and that's going to lead to you kind of hitting that sod it button and binging.
Yeah.
And you know, and the other thing I would say is that 1400 calories can be quite low.
Yeah.
So
It's
make
not a
sure,
lot of food.
double check,
Yeah.
put your information into a calorie calculator, work out what your maintenance is, subtract a reasonable amount. So, you know, could be somewhere between 10 and 20%. So if your calorie deficit, you know, if your maintenance is around about 2000 calories, then take 20%, so 400, 500 calories off. That would give you just around about a pound of fat loss a week. Eat at that. Okay. Don't try and think, right, I'm going to do it as fast as possible and hit
Yeah.
1200 calories, because you're going to get hungry, you're going to get grumpy, you're going to get cravings, and you're going to get to the weekend and you're going to binge. And then
Yeah.
you undo what you've done. You know, you might eat 1200 calories for 4 days, and then you eat 3000 calories for 3 days. That puts you at maintenance.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, double check your calories. Make sure that you are tracking everything and weighing it. Be honest with yourself, identify where the problems might be, and then you can do something about it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And if you're still stuck, then drop us a message and we can help you.
We can. We absolutely can.
Yeah.
Perfect. Good one to end on that. That's all of them.
That's all. Ah, brilliant. And we did that. I think we did that in a reasonably short amount of time. I'm impressed
Not
with that.
bad. I am too. That's very good going.
So you can go for your swim now.
Oh yeah, no excuse now. No, gonna have a snack, then get to the pool. Yeah.
Cool. All right, guys, that is us done. We are back again next week. There's going to be a break the week after because I am having a week off. Yes. But yeah, we will be back next week. So if you've got any questions, look out for the things on the stories, or send me and Alice a message, or fill in the forms on the Shape Up program. But we will be back next week. So it's bye from us for now. Yeah, so goodbye.
Bye.